Welcome back to the shooting channel and welcome back to this episode of 525 versus 825. A lot of people have been talking to me about what is the actual differences, apart from the mechanical differences, what is the actual differences of how this gun shoots. So I'm going to take you through what the differences is between these two great guns, the 525 and the 825. Yes, we know that the 525 is Browning's entry-level gun, but this is the gun that pretty much most of their top-of-the-range guns are based on, i.e. the XS Pro, the B25 range. This is the gun, this is the entry level of that gun. And then you've got their next one up, the 825. Its predecessor was the 725, and I'm going to talk to you about what the difference is of these guns. This particular gun retails at about £2,000 to £2,400. The 825 bog standard one retails at £2,800 to £3,000, depending what shooting schools or what Browning dealers you go to. So, putting the 825 down for a minute, the biggest thing that both of these guns, both of these models come with adjustable combs and fixed stock. They both come with the Inflex recoil pads. They both come with ventilated barrels and ventilated ribs. This particular, the 525 comes with internal chokes. The 825 comes with external chokes. Now, the biggest thing that the biggest differences between these, when you mount these guns, the 525 is slightly heavier. We are looking at the two sporting models. The 525s are slightly heavier. The biggest thing is the 525 is slightly fatter in the comb there and higher in the comb. So if I look at the 825, it's slightly skinnier and it's low in the comb. So if I mount the gun at the camera and put my head, so my head is below here, and the 525 is higher. And I'm going to show you how we can work that out, is I will put it onto the table and we'll show you how. That is the biggest difference. It was the same thing with the 725 and the 525. And Browning have done that deliberately because in their whole range, they have the 525 range, which is the highest in the comb. They have the MK60, Maruku MK60, MK70, which is the lowest in the comb. And they have the Browning 825, which is halfway house. So depending on the size of the person, if you're very short, you'll probably fit a Maruku better. If you're very tall, you'll fit a 525 action. And if you're sort of mediocre, then you'll fit the 825. And this is where you need to pick your local shooting school to look at finding your gun for you. And go and ask the experts and shoot with 3 or 4 and you'll see the difference between them. So I'm going to lay these down on the table here. So if you can see, stock length is the same. This particular one is actually lower than what the 525 is. And if I put this here, you can see, that it's touching the 525 and there's a gap here on the 825. So yes, it is only very, very fine, but this is why, when you're buying your gun, this is why you need to go and try these 3 guns in a lesson first, and then where you buy your gun from, the shooting school, will support you in buying that gun, that right fit for you. Because yes, you might say, and you might comment below, that's only minor, but with the best one in the world, if your head is sat here, your head should be 3 fingers away from the comb. So your head should be there on that gun. But depending how big your cheeks are, the 525, if you're fat in the face, the 525, you will see it will be too high here. So your eye will come too high at the rib. And if you're not enough, if you're really tall, this will be too low and you'll be looking into the back of the action here. So this is where it is vitally, vitally important to get these right. For the average Joe Bloggs, you do not need to go and spend a fortune on a gun fit. Yes, you do if you're going to you're going to the Olympic Games, things like that. But for the average Joe Bloggs, do not go to any gun fit and have an absolute expense fortune fitting a gun. Most decent shooting schools will have a selection of decent guns on that shelf that will fit you off the shelf. So look at how they fit the guns on there. They will have different size guns. The shooting school will have different size guns to fit you. So think about, don't spend an absolute, you're better off to spend that money you would on that gun fit on some lessons at a shooting school than you owe onto that gun fit. So stock length, again, I'm going to use my tool here and you'll see to measure the stock length, a lot of people tend to do that. Now that is an old wives' tale, right? Because most people, if I can make this gun too long or too short for me, depending on how I stand. If I stand like that, I can't get my head on my gun. If I stand like that, the gun is 3 fingers away. So most guns, most decent guns off the shelf will come 14 3/4. So if I measure this, that is 14 3/4, and that is 14 3/4. They do have, unless you are a very, very small person or a very large person, most of the Brownings and the Berettas have different size pads in the boxes. So you can actually have a thinner recoil pad or you can have a thicker recoil pad. If they don't, you can buy them as aftermarket. They're not particularly expensive, about 40, 50 pounds, then you've got to fit it. I'm going to be honest, if you do want to fit a pad or cut a gun down or lengthen a gun, make sure you go to your shooting school and have a professional gunsmith do it. Because the biggest thing that you do not want to do is to cut the toe, which is that, off that gun, because it makes the gun shoot there. The gun has got to be like that. So if you want to change it or you have a fit, talk to your local shooting school and they will help you. The other differences between the 525 and the 825 is the size. If you look at the size of the action, so if I take the guns apart, you can see the size of the actions there. So if you look at the 525, it is a much deeper action, which is generally traditionally what a 525 is. Same as a Maruku MK38, a very deep action. A lot of people do tend to say that the deeper the action, the less recoil there is. I'm going to be honest, an 825 hasn't. It's got a shallow action, but the recoil's still as good. But it has got that shallow action there. So that is the difference. And again, if you look at the action itself, you can see on an 825 it is very slim down, whereas on the 525 it is very square. And the same with the top levers. If you look at the top levers, it's very slim. If you look at that top lever, it's very slim there. Whereas if you look at that top lever, it's very thick there. And then the pistol grips. On a 525, it's a lot more bigger and it's more sort of rounded but square there. So very square and big in your hand. Whereas an 825 is slimmer in the hand there. And again, the stocks, if you look at the thickness of the stocks, the 525 is slightly thicker than the 825. So that is the difference between, so anyone that's commented below anyone that's commented below, what is the difference between an 825 and a 525? That is the difference. They're both very, very good guns. They're both competition guns. The 825 has got the new Super Whiz Bang 825 modern Browning modern chokes. If you buy the XS Pro Ultimate, that is a hybrid between the 525, the XS Pro, and the 825. So that has got the new 825 chokes in it. So generally, the 825 is a more expensive gun to start with. That's what they've tried to aim at. They've tried to pitch the 525. The basic 525, which is this one, is kind of the entry-level gun. And then it goes up to XS Black, Ultimates, things like that, Heritages. They've just got better engraving, things like that. But generally, that's how it starts. And then the 825, this is the basic 825, which is 28 to 3000. And then it goes to the 825 Pro Master, the 825 Black. There's all sorts of different models. That is the difference between the 525 and the 825. Comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts on what I've said in this program. Is there any more information you would like to see? This is a basic, what is the difference between an 825 and a 525? I hope you've enjoyed this program. Please comment below on anything you've seen in this program. Please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. Don't forget, please, please, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps us give you content like this. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.